Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our webinar Wednesday. Thank you all for joining us today. I see a lot of some new faces, so welcome to 2024. Happy Wednesday. Happy good weather in January. Diane and I were just talking the way in today. She didn't have to have a coat on. It's January, so I consider that a win. So we try to do these webinar Wednesdays for professional development about once a month or so. And so we'll have some good ideas coming up for the next few months in a row, and I'll be getting that out soon. But today I'm really excited that Sue Kwame, one of our specialists here, a great colleague of ours, and she is going to be sharing about the next chapter at NDSU. And this project, she's been working on this for about a year now. She was selected as one of the fellows that Lynette offered for last calendar year. And so this is a project she's had going on, and she's kind of wrapping it up right now at the end of her year. So I'm excited for her to talk more about what she's been doing and how you can get involved with career and college readiness for our youth and help like recruit youth to NDSU. So I'll turn it over to Sue now.
Well, thanks, Megan. So yeah, it's been a year, and this isn't going to be ending anytime soon. So it's an ongoing thing, and so I really want to just share what the program is and how you can be involved in that as an agent, or what your role might be out in the county. So, okay, let's see here. There we go. Oh. Okay, so the next chapter, and Megan, I actually put my winter coat on today because I'm in a bad habit. So I gotta get over that. But
Yeah, I
all
did
right,
too,
let's
but
get
I didn't really
let-
need it.
no. So the next chapter is the key part is that it's a program that's a partnership between our NDSU Center for 4-H Youth Development and the admissions office here at NDSU. And it's a way to help engage, connect youth to some career pathways to help them be much more prepared for what's out there for their next career or for their next step, whatever that is, if it's college or maybe getting a job or something like that. So some goals that we have with the program is just to help youth explore their sparks and their passion through career exploration. So we want youth to figure out, and that's kind of our 4-H theme now, is the sparks. And so we can put that through all different areas that youth are in, and especially that career area, to think about what is the thing that really sparks their passion. I have a daughter that's thinking about returning to college, and she's, thinking about all these great big areas that make money. And then she's like, Mom, but that isn't really what I like. I like working with people, so she's thinking about child development. I'm like, oh, yay, following in her mother's footsteps. But it's interesting to just think about how we can really help youth figure out what their sparks are, because they'll be much happier in the workforce if they know they're doing something that they love. It's working on cultivating those workforce readiness skills, some skills just to be successful in college and high school too. And then connecting the students to NDSU, and that's something I'll talk about here in a few minutes, and then learning impactful ways to connect with their community so that they're not only learning to be successful, but they're learning how to give back to where they live and how they participate in the community. So we have three key ingredients that I'm going to just talk about today. And the first is that partnership with NDSU, admissions, and then the next is the curriculum and the lessons that we teach. And then the last part is how we connect back to NDSU. So the partnership with NDSU is very key. One of the things that we have where this all came from was to learn how big goal was that we want to help prepare youth for their next step, but we also want to help promote bringing youth to NDSU. So we know that not all youth are going to find a place at NDSU, but we also know that there are some students who really do belong here that maybe aren't considering it yet. And so that's why this partnership with NDSU Admission is key, because they can help make that connection to the entry into NDSU. So when we sign teachers up or agents to teach this curriculum, then they will sign the students up, and that list goes to NDSU admissions, and admissions will send them like a welcome email. And it just says, welcome to the NDSU Next Chapter program. We're happy you're here. We would love to see you at NDSU. We're excited for your journey into this next stage of your life. And just some key emails that will come out then, helping them figure out how to connect back to NDSU. So the second part that the admissions has a part in is an assessment tool. So if you're familiar with schools and you're familiar with schools in North Dakota especially, or you've been a student or you've participated in school activities, you know that North Dakota has an assessment tool called Are You Ready? Are You Ready is a really dynamic program. It has lots and lots of ways to explore many careers. When students take the Are You Ready assessment, they find out for themselves, like what their interest areas are and the many different areas that their career goals could go in with those interest areas. Focus to Apply is a little different because it is specific to NDSU. Students will take this assessment tool and they will find exactly like their interest areas of how they apply to a career or a career path, college education through NDSU. So it directly connects their interests to NDSU. And like I said, I know that not all youth are going to come to NDSU, but I think this tool is one way to just help create some sort of curiosity, help them maybe open up their minds a little bit to something a little bigger where they might say, I am interested in that. And I didn't realize that could be a career that is offered at NDSU. So maybe NDSU is for me. So I really think this is a good tool to have all youth participate in this activity so that even if they're not interested in NDSU, I think it's a really good way to catch a few people that probably weren't thinking about it. And now all of a sudden they can say, NDSU might be for me. And then the partnership also has us thinking about getting kids to campus. We know research shows us that the more youth are exposed to a campus or have some connection there, the more likely they are to attend. And I have lots of examples, and I'm sure as agents you do too, that there's lots of youth that through 4-H come to campus and they're comfortable here. They like it. And so then they find NDSU as part of their path. So that's one of the things that we really want to encourage. NDSU admissions has some signature visits. So when youth sign up to come here with their parents, they can ask for a signature visit, and NDSU will tailor their visit to meet their needs and their interests. The other part of the Next Chapter at NDSU program is that we have some on-campus events too. We're planning one for April 12th, and that's more of a place for schools or teachers to come together with their students here. It could be agents, collaborating on that too. And right now we have just like a couple different schools coming, so we're looking to maybe add a couple more to that mix too. And then the last part of the NDSU partnership with the admissions is this early admission to NDSU. Early admission is a way when students have engaged in the curriculum, they've taken the focus to apply, they've done a campus visit. Hopefully, that campus visit is to NDSU if we want early admission here, but students can visit other campuses for the Next Chapter program. But once they do those things, then they can earn this early admission to NDSU. And it's a way to say, we want you here, you're welcome. we're excited that you're thinking about NDSU and choosing us. And so it's a nice way. Students still have to connect to their, do all of the things that admission requires, having, a certain GPA and all those things. So they do have to meet requirements, but it's a way to just say, we really want you here and you're welcome. All right, so the next part is the curriculum. So I'm going to just talk a little bit. I'm going to go through the lessons. We're going to actually do one of the little lessons towards the end here because I think it's fun to just experience what the curriculum is like. The curriculum was designed by Nebraska State University Extension, and they created, there's 4 different chapters, and in each chapter are 4 to 5 lessons. They were all connected to Nebraska, the career and tech ed standards. I have researched and changed and made sure that they all align with the North Dakota standards now. And as far as agents go, that may not be super beneficial to you. But I think as you go into schools and you can offer that to teachers, it's good for them because they need to have a rationale of why they're doing something. And the standards are a way to say, this is what the state wants us to meet, and these lessons can meet those standards. And if I know there's lots of people in here that are teachers that have been in the schools, and so you're very familiar with that. And so it's a nice way to just help the teachers show the relevance of each lesson. The lessons are designed so that they help you explore some careers, think about those sparks again, what are they really interested in, and then helping them develop some skills that'll be useful in high school and college to make sure that they are successful, or even in a job if they go out and are thinking about that. So I will link you to this Google Drive towards the end here. What you'll see when you get to the Google Drive is the chapters are all laid out, and in each chapter folder are all of the lessons. Each lesson includes a lesson plan. It includes any of the handouts or resources that would be needed for that. And then there's also a PowerPoint that goes along with that. I'm not sure if in schools how many people use PowerPoints anymore, but I feel like it's always a nice way to just keep you on task. When I was a teacher, I had my overhead projector with all of the notes there, and I always had to have some way to just keep me on track. So it's helpful to me for that. So there's also another chapter on there. It's the NDSU recruitment, and that is also found in our North Dakota 4-H youth development folder that you have access to. Right now, this one in here is empty. And the reason for that is that we're working on getting some updated documents in there because the documents are a little bit past. They're more for 22, 23, and we're in a new year again here already this fast. So, and then the documents that you see that are out on the bottom there is a getting started document, and that document has all of the information on there as far as how do you register to be in the program, how do you register youth, how links for that. There's a lot of Qualtrics links. There's links for the post-test that's in there. There's a link for teachers or agents to give some feedback on the curriculum. There is also the layout of all of the chapters and a little bit of a description of what each chapter is, because I think sometimes when you just read the titles, it's hard to know, well, what exactly is that? So I've put that in there too, because I think that's helpful. The next document is the career clusters, and we're going to talk about that with the little lesson we're going to do in a minute. So I'm going to not talk about that. And then I have paper pencil copies of some of the Qualtrics things in here too, so that people can access that if it's more beneficial than using a link and using the Qualtrics online. Okay, so chapter 1 is just helping you get started, thinking about what is it you really want to do, what's out there for you. So setting some SMART goals. The discovering careers is, I pulled a little piece out of there that we're going to do here in a minute. Public service announcement is kind of creating an elevator speech, helping youth figure out what their strengths are so that they can think about how they talk about those strengths and can promote themselves in different areas. And then service learning, just finding that way to help youth figure out, how am I giving back? All right, chapter 2 has a lot of really good lessons on helping youth figure out how to think about being successful in school. These can be applied to high school and as they head into college. And even if they're going to a 2-year degree, these would be very beneficial. So there's some time management skills. We have study skills that are a really good lesson is showing a couple different ways how to use study, procrastination, and motivation. It really helps us look at why we do things. And then communication and presentation, just another way to help youth figure out, how do I get confident in being in front of someone, presenting something about myself and about in front of a group so that I can be speaking. All right, and then chapter 3 talks about starting to explore those post-secondary opportunities. So we're looking at what is available to me out there. How can I what do I want to do as I go forward? And then looking at filling out a resume and a job application, learning how to be successful in an interview and what kind of skills are needed for that. And then there's another lesson on being successful in the classroom, reading and note taking. That is a good lesson. There's like 3 different ways to help youth figure out what works best for you to take notes and to read. I really like that lesson. And then chapter 4 is really, we're looking at getting into that, the next step of really making some decisions of what you're going to be doing with your next step after high school. So we have a lesson that talks about your personal statement. I don't think right now there are any colleges in North Dakota that actually require a personal statement, but it is a nice way for youth to learn how to do that, learn how to identify, why exactly am I doing this and why is this important to me, and thinking about, how do I articulate that? So it's a good lesson. It also plays into the college application piece of that too. There's a lesson on how do we apply for scholarships and what is financial aid and where do we find all that information. And then a whole lesson on money management. There's a chapter in there. There's several sections. So you can do a 45-minute lesson, a 90-minute lesson, and then there's even extensions, and it teaches youth how to even write a check. So there's lots of interesting things in that chapter. The next one just talks about professionalism and etiquette and teaches about writing emails and letters. And then the last part is connecting to your future. And that's where the lessons are really focused on doing some sort of job or shadowing with a visit to a college. Maybe it's a job shadow. Maybe it's just even a virtual visit, because I think this curriculum was created during the pandemic. And sometimes we have people that, maybe still can't get to campus, but they could do some sort of virtual visit too. So that's an option there. And then as a supplement to this, we also have Careers in a Box, and this is something that was created with Megan works with launch skills, and some of you are familiar and are using the launch skills right now. Careers in a Box was developed in conjunction with South Dakota State. They decided to come up with a bunch of different lessons that actually address a different career in the fields that we're in. They're mostly all in that ag area, which includes FCW. They have, so I've put together some boxes. I do have a limited supply, and a lot of them are out that I have already, because I've been connecting with agents that have teachers that are teaching, and giving agents the boxes as a way to help them connect to the teacher and get into the classroom. They have these hands-on activities. The ones that we've put together are a livestock breeder. So it uses the punnet chart and helps people look at how do we bring those different pieces and characteristics together to create something. So that the activity is to create a cookie with the most desirable characteristics, which is kind of a fun one. And I don't think I mentioned, but these are all designed by you or students in each of the career areas. So there's a sheet that talks about the career, what you need for an education for that, where you could find more information if you're interested in it. And then the lesson is laid out. Here's what you need, the activities. If you get the box, then you get the supplies that go with it. I have talked to Megan and she said that she can share the curriculum with others that would be interested. And then you would have all of the lessons available to you and you would just have to find the supplies. And really, most of the supplies are things that you either have on hand or they're very low cost, or some of them are paper pencil kinds of things that youth can do. So they're and I can help you put things together if you're interested in that too. One of the other lessons in here that I really like is an extension agent. So it has you learn a really simple little science experiment, and then the youth are asked to create a little lesson and presentation on how they would teach that lesson to youth. So that's kind of a fun one. So it's something that's out there that's available that we can just use as a supplement to the curriculum too, and help, and it really helps draw that connection back to NDSU. All right, so let's take a look at one of the lessons. Megan's going to share the career clusters with you right now. You can open that up. So how many of you can just like raise your hand or something, are familiar with career clusters? Yeah, so those people that are like probably been in the schools or doing something with careers have seen it. Some of you are probably young enough to have been engaged with that as a student too. So they are just a way to categorize and put together career areas that are similar to each other and to help youth focus on different areas. And then we draw careers out of that. So if you've been able to open that up, take a look at it. Their career clusters are designed by the national level. They put these together, but then each state adopts them different ways and they present them in different ways. So there's 16 national ones, but if you would count, North Dakota has 17. Does anybody want to look at that list and give me an idea of who they think might, or which one you think might be maybe unique, but not necessarily unique, but very important to North Dakota that maybe isn't on the national one? You can pop something in the chat box if you don't want to open your mic too, and just give me which one do you think it might be?
I'm getting energy, so
Oh, energy, yes, we got a couple, and we have a couple other ones that maybe are different too that people have guessed, but it is energy, and I'm not sure why that isn't on the national one. As I look through the national one, I do see that there's not like anything that really is directly related, but I think we think about science and technology and manufacturing, it would include that. So what we're going to do is I want you to look at that again, and you can pretend you're a youth as you're looking at this. Look at the list again and think about your parents, and if they're still working or if they're not working, think about the career that they are in or were in, and what areas were career clusters were their careers in. And again, if you want to just pop some of those into the chat box, we'll just look at what career areas you saw your parents in. Agriculture, law enforcement, agriculture, yeah, education, manufacturing and architecture, health and human service, health education, natural resources. So you can keep putting those in there. And so we can see that our parents were in a lot of different areas. Right now, then I'd like you to think now, imagine yourself as a teenager again. When you were in high school, think about which career area or career cluster you maybe were interested in, or even now think, maybe now what I know, I wish I would have been more interested in this. So think about which clusters you might have been thinking about as a youth. And you can go ahead and type those in again too. Education, no idea. Yeah, so we're all in education here. So I see lots of educations. STEM, awesome. Yep. And you followed through on that one, Danielle. Finance, business management, STEM. So you're all thinking about those different clusters that you thought about at the time, and maybe you followed through on that, and maybe you changed your mind and went to something different, but probably those were all based on a spark that you had, something you were interested in, something that gave you some joy. All right, so now the next part of this lesson is we are going to break into some breakout groups, and I'm going to have Megan, I think, do that. When you get to the breakout room, so first Megan's going to put another worksheet in the chat box, a link. The worksheet talks about different items. So there's different items on there. A can of soup, a shoe or a sneaker, tennis shoe, a bag of chips, a mobile phone. When you get in your group, as a group, you can decide which one of those you want to work on. And then you are going to take, and you don't have to fill out the worksheet, but I just verbally do this assignment together. Think about one of those items and which career clusters would you need to bring that item to fruition? Like, what does it take to have nothing and then have a pair of shoes on my feet, or have nothing and then come to this bag of chips? So there's so think of at least 4 career clusters, and then from those 4 career clusters, come up with 8 different careers that you would have in those clusters to create the bag of chips or the can of soup. Okay, any questions on that before we do that? We'll give you probably like about 5 to 6 minutes to chat in your group, and then we'll come back. If there's no questions, I'll let Megan put people in some groups, and you can just choose which item you want to do.
I'm going to pause the recording while we go to our breakout rooms.
All right, welcome back. I think we should have everybody back. Does it look like it, Megan? Okay, perfect. So when you're thinking about those career clusters and the product that you thought about, what were, if maybe 1 or 2 people want to just open up your mic and talk about maybe some of the career clusters that you thought about for one of those items? Is someone willing to do that?
I will go. We talked in our group about the soup can, bringing that to fruition. So of course that would involve careers in agriculture and growing, STEM as far as a lot, the research of the food, the testing of the food, the research of the can, the manufacturing of the can. And then we think about marketing and not only your crop or what you're growing, but now marketing that completed product as well. Manufacturing again in the preparation of the can to get it to the stores, assembly line kind of stuff. The energy that it takes to run that plant, to run a farming business. Those were the 4 career clusters we looked at. And then as far as the careers within them, of course, we would need the farmer to grow the crop. We would need in the manufacturing plant, you think of all kinds of workers, the assembly line workers, the marketing again, the distributor, the scheduler, the mechanic who fixes everything that's within that plant. The admin, the line workers. Then you think about like food safety workers, food testing. I'm not sure how to label those, but the ones who taste test and decide what's going to be the next best soup. Labeling and some of those facts things, like we talked about the food testing and such. So lots of careers.
Yeah, so it's a really neat lesson where you can really think about and help youth expand what they're thinking as far as like careers. You know, a can of soup seems like, oh, this is a simple little thing, you put it on the table, but there's a lot that goes into that. And I think as you start to even think deeper, we could think about, you know, research. What does it take to make some vegetables that are going to be able to last longer or be fresher tasting when they're, you know, whatever it is. So I think there's a lot that we can do there. When you're thinking about this lesson, so the products that are on here are pretty tangible ones. How could you adjust this lesson to maybe make it with something a little less tangible? What could you do? Anybody have a thought about that? Well, I had some thoughts. So I'll share those with you, but I was even, was someone trying to say something?
Did you say like a service provided versus an actual object?
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Like, how do we create a product? What kind of clusters go into something like surgery? You know, what all is involved for someone to actually have a surgery, or maybe even to create a salad or a salad bar in a restaurant, or to have a restaurant or a fitness studio or something. So you could think about broadening that a little bit bigger and helping youth think about, there's a lot of other things that, you know, I don't ever want to do surgery, but guess what? There's a lot of different things, even from pastoral care that comes to talk to someone, to the designing of an instrument, and maybe someone in design might be doing that. So there's just lots of ways to look at that. And I think this is a very simple lesson, but we could put a lot of problem solving into this lesson if we just expand on it a little bit too, and help you think about the greater picture. All right, I'm gonna move this so I can move my slides ahead here. Well, maybe, there we go. All right, so what can your role be and how can you support this program? So there's a couple different ways. So the first one is to just support teachers using the curriculum that's out there. And that means you could come into the class and just teach one or two of those lessons. You could come in and teach one of the Career in a Box lessons. You could approach a school and teach the curriculum yourself. You could come in once or twice a week or once a month and teach a different lesson that way. And your role is also to help promote NDSU. When schools are using the curriculum, we want you to be able to find a way to help connect just to NDSU. Maybe you've got a relationship with the teacher and the teacher said, you know, I've got like several kids in this class that are really interested in plants or something. And that's a little bit of your background. So you could go in and teach a whole different lesson and just talk about how that career lesson directly relates to something at NDSU, and how do we find different careers that relate to those kinds of things. And so just the career connection is really important. And then as you're providing literature and resources, and maybe it's those resources that we have for recruitment, or maybe it's resources for an additional lessons or whatever it is, but there's lots of different ways that you can connect with the teachers and support this curriculum if it's something that you're interested in. So, okay, so Keisha had a question about ages, classes you're targeting. So right now, the curriculum is designed for kind of that high school age, but I do have a teacher or two that's going to try it in 7th grade, but it really was designed 8 through 10 or 11 to 12th grade. I think the way it was designed too was that each year they would build on the curriculum. A lot of teachers are using the full curriculum in a class. The teachers that are using it are FACS teachers and school counselors, because they're the ones that kind of do a lot of the careers in schools. So that's where we're at now. Could it be in other classes? Yes, it could be pretty much in any class that you wanted it to be in. The curriculum, you know, like I said, like the lesson we just did, we could really build on that lesson. So even if it's a simple lesson, you can take it and make it a little bit more advanced depending on what grades you're using it for. Okay, so anyone have any other questions or thoughts? I'm here all the time. Oh, okay, I'm approachable and available. I'm not here all the time though, because I'm out doing things. But whatever you need, you can get into contact too. A promotional piece we can share with teachers, yes. And I did not put that on the website, but I will put that there too for you.
I was, I don't know who else does this, but, oh, sorry, my mic was up. Can you guys hear me?
Mhm. Yeah.
So I was thinking about doing something similar to this for like the marketplace for kids, although I know it's like more 6th graders, but I thought about like just the idea of introducing them all to all the different types of careers. Like I like the idea of doing a can of soup, like think about all the jobs that go into it and trying to make them think about these career clusters. I know they're a little bit on the younger side, and I know it's usually like 30 minutes, like that's all you get with these kids, and then they rotate stations and stuff. But do you think it could fit with something like that if I made it like a simpler version for them?
Definitely. I haven't been to Marketplace for Kids, so I'm not quite sure what the structure looks like. But I do think that someplace, like even if, say you're in a large gym and you were going to do that lesson, you could put the can of soup out and have those different career clusters and maybe make a game out of it where kids are going to think about which, maybe even pull a career out, a cluster out and think, okay, here's this cluster. What jobs do you think would connect to making a can of soup? But I think that's a very, it'd be a great way to use it. And a lesson like that would go really well for those younger grades. Also, the careers in a box lessons might, they're a little bit, I mean, they might be more a higher level. So I know Samantha Lawman has some of her careers in a box that I think are made for a little bit younger age. And maybe that is a better connect to if you were going to use the careers in a box. But I do think that is a very wise way to use it too, with some younger ones, getting them tied in. Younger is better. Tori asked too, how's this been shared with teachers? Mostly it's been through connecting with emails and the listservs for their different organizations.
So Sue, it's okay to use bits and pieces if we feel like it fits into, we don't have to use the whole curriculum or commit to the whole curriculum.
No, and I really feel
Okay.
like even teachers, it's hard to commit to the whole curriculum because there's a lot of lessons there. And not all of them apply to what they're trying to teach too. So finding maybe like a set of the lessons or one of the chapters is a nice way to approach it so that you're not totally overwhelmed. And you could go in and do one chapter each year. You could do, 4 or 5 different lessons or one from each one to kind of build on it too, depending on what fits best with what the teacher's needs are. Yeah, that's so Samantha just put into that her livestock in a box targeted for youth grades 4 to 7. So most of the lessons have a touch on animal science careers, so feel free to use bits and pieces of that curriculum set too. So yeah, that would be a good fit too.
And
heard-
Sue was mentioning earlier about the careers in a box that I worked on with South Dakota State with our SciFar grant. And so some of y'all attended my session at Fall Conference and have access to the Google Drive with those lessons. We have lessons from 21, 22, and 23, and then we'll have a whole new set for 2024 come out really soon. And so if you're interested in that, send me an email and I'll add you to that. And like Sue said, like I can't buy the supplies for you, but all the materials are there. You could get the supplies pretty easily yourself to use that. And so that's something if you're interested in careers on food, agriculture, natural resources, and human sciences. So those are the 4 areas that Careers in a Box that I worked on focus on. So I can add you if you send me an email because it's one of the Google Drives where I need to add people.
I had one other quick question. Is there any like pre-post survey for like data collection that we're worried about at all?
Yeah, the pre is in the registration form and it's just a few I think it's 8 questions. And then the post is also in that, it's a Qualtrics document. It's in the Google Drive and Megan can share that drive with you now. And then, if you need access later too, people can contact me for that. The post is, most of the questions on there are the common measures questions in the, college and career readiness questions. And then there's also some questions that just tie directly to NDSU, because one of the questions we ask are you considering coming to NDSU? And then what your plans are. Are you planning to just get a job? Are you planning to attend a 2-year college? Are you joining the military? Are you planning to go to 4-year college? So we're trying to assess, where all of the youth are and how do we attract the ones that are thinking that might have some possibility of coming to NDSU.
Sue, I'm sorry, can you answer a question again? This has been shared with teachers, like if we reach out to our local counselors, high school counselors and such, they're aware of it?
They should be, yes.
Okay.
But you know how it is. You talk to people and not until it's relevant did they like, oh yeah, maybe I saw that, maybe I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But I do also think that the message has been out there enough that all of a sudden it feels like a snowball too, because now more and more people are interested and you have to plant seeds and then pretty soon it's like, oh, whoa.
Mm-hmm. So just thinking about that tour that you said was on April 12th, that would be something the counselor or teacher would line up. We would just be asked to join. It's not something we.
You could do it too. I mean,
Initiate, okay.
depending on, what your relationship with this, it's a school day. So, you'd have to have a relationship that you could make that work.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Thanks, Sue.
Yeah. Well, I do appreciate everyone listening and supporting the program and doing what you can. And if you have an interest, if you want to just chat through some individual things too, just give me a call or email and we can figure that out.
Well, thank you, Sue, for doing this. This was great. And so I hope everybody enjoyed it. I know I learned a lot as well. So we'd love to continue the conversation. If anybody has any more questions for Sue or myself, just let us know. We'll try to help you out. So thanks for joining us for our webinar Wednesday for January. Have a good rest of your day. Bye, everybody.
Thanks.